All right, we are back, everybody. Joining me now on the KUM couch, not one but two guests, Nick Delgado, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, and of course our friend here, Mr. Bones. Alas, poor Yorick. Yeah, I thought of a couple other jokes I can make, but let's not go there. Draw your own conclusions. All right, Nick, we're going to talk about taotaomona tales. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff that you did to celebrate, investigate, perpetuate, if you will, like our culture and everything. But let's talk about this wonderful event that we had the absolute honor of being involved with last night. Real Men Wear Pink. We were two of many people from the island's nonprofit organizations, private sectors, Guam, and everything. Everybody came together to raise money and support for breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, it was an amazing event. It was so much fun seeing people from the business community and everywhere else coming together there at the Hyatt yesterday and having a good time, all in support and raising awareness for breast cancer. But it was fun to play the games there. I think I beat you at Mortal Kombat. Right?
You destroyed me. Okay, all right. This was me last night, Mortal Kombat. Nick and I played like one round. Who were you? You were Raiden, right?
Oh, yeah.
You were Raiden. I was like Sub-Zero. No contest. All right.
So yeah, they had the games
Finish
there. They had amazing food, as Hyatt often does. And the entertainment, the live music, that was incredible. All of it put together with a silent auction just turned out for one great event for a good cause.
Yeah, and you and I mean, we had the easy part, but you and I combined, we were able to raise over $3,000 for cancer research, right? And all of that money, by the way, goes back into our community for the people that need it directly, the families, everybody impacted, the caretakers and everything. So, I mean, we cannot say thank you and si Diyos masi enough, ladies and gentlemen. We have absolutely like the best job to be able to do that. So.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support, for the donations as well.
All right, speaking of Mortal Kombat, we're going to do a get over here moment, right? Because Nick actually took up a mantle which was previously held by a very dear friend of ours, Sabrina Salas-Matanani, who started the Taotaomona podcast many years ago. It is an island institution around this time, and there you go. And you actually put your own little twist on it. Very impressive. It's a week-long podcast. We got 4 episodes up now, and the one thing I appreciated, Nick, because I watched every episode.
Yeah.
There's these wonderful sit-down interviews that you have, but I mean, it's not just scary story after scary story. There are 5 distinct takes on what the taotaomona is, what it means to our culture, and people's experience with them.
Yeah, and along with those encounters that can be chilling and scary for many of them in their own right, it comes with a responsibility of showing respect for our ancestors, for the people of our past. And each one of the people that we spoke with in Taotaomona Tales, the podcast, shared that experience and shared that responsibility that we should pass down to our generations, and not so much just the scary stories to share.
Yeah. So are you finding from maybe like an older generation and people that might be, like our parents or our grandparents, how do they feel about how the young people are even aware of, the taotaomona, and are they maybe trying to turn it into a social media thing, or making a punchline? Because I agree with you. My grandparents said, the taotaomona is a real thing, and you will show them the utmost respect because they are our ancestors.
I think they sum it up all in 2 words: ask permission, right?
Yes.
And so that's something that each person that I interviewed, whether it was the local teacher that we're about to see, Rufina Mendiola, shared her experiences, or I think it was Johnny Seguenza, who many know as Cake. He said that the taotaomonas gave him his name. For some reason, he has that connection to that realm, to the spirit world, where he speaks to them, and they allow him to take some of the artifacts that he finds out there in the jungles and around the island.
And that's the thing. I mean, there is kind of a misconception where they say, the taotaomona might be aggressive or
evil.
Evil, or have nefarious intent. But I mean, a lot of the times you'll actually hear people and they say, no, the taotaomona, they may warn you to stay on the straight and narrow, but they can also be a source of a blessing.
Yeah, no doubt that they say that a lot of these spirits, they're good spirits. They're the people from our past, and they don't want to do any harm onto us. They just deserve that respect, and that's kind of what the people that we spoke to in these interviews shared, and they all echoed the same thing, saying that the respect is key, so that and for the younger generation to learn respect and ask permission, so that they too can pass that on as part of our culture.
Now, what does this mean to you as a journalist? Because as someone who grew up here, and you're raising your children here with the same values that your grandparents and your parents handed down to you, about what did you learn about taotaomona that you may not have known before?
I don't think there's much additional things that I've learned, because luckily for me, as being a Guam boy, I'm brought up in this culture, right? I'm brought up with these stories, and so while a lot of them were scary, it just, I guess, now hammered in that knowledge of knowing that you had to respect, right? Our ancestors and the places that you go to, including the land that we go around.
Right. Okay. So we do have a sneak peek we want to show you. So maybe Nick, give us some context a little bit. So you sat down with a Chamorro teacher, Rufina Mendiola, and she was actually sharing a very interesting story about how she encountered a taotaomona.
She encountered it. People in her family around her generation encountered it, and she said that also she invited us to her classroom at one of the elementary schools in Delgado. She said they're here right now, and so let's take a look.
All right. Here it is on the KUM Podcast Network and on YouTube with Nick.
I live in an area where there's 2 banyan trees. And another incident is that my neighbor across from us, almost across from us, they had 3 homeowners because they have the biggest, huge taotaomona tree, which is the nunu tree. And I know already that we need to respect that tree. So of course, the first owner was a Korean couple. And I said, you know, that tree is very significant to this land, our ancestors. That's the spirit tree. So they tried to bulldozer that tree down. So the bulldozer broke. Yeah, the bulldozer broke, and then another company came to try to uproot the tree, and it broke again. So eventually, the Korean couple sold it to the next homeowner, which is the Okinawan, and they're very. I think the Okinawans are respected people. When I told them, they didn't say anything. They didn't even want to cut the tree down. So that tree, you can visit when you come to the house. I'll show you. That tree has helped. The guy that lived there, he fell not too long ago, sometimes in June. He fell because they have a 2-story. And I was there to witness everything. He was like almost 6 o'clock at night, and he was cleaning the upstairs. And the ladder is a single ladder, and it's so high, it fell back. And I said, oh my gosh, that's the end of this guy. But guess what? I think that taotaomona, or the spirit, the good spirit, has saved that guy, because he kept the nunu tree, and everything around that nunu tree, if you see it, it's so beautiful. The plants, there's so many vegetables growing around that area.
Wow.
But I hear babies cry in the weird morning hours, because my bedroom is right almost close to.
Okay, so I just got chills there.
Yeah.
Every night? Is that like how
It's
often
not
does that
every
happen?
night. Well, it depends, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't.
You're the
recall.
only one that hears it.
I'm not sure if my husband have heard it, but my husband has a lot of stories going to the ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of stories that he has told me when he went fishing with his Uncle Pete. And in the jungle, they knew their way in, but they got lost. And they went around like hours and hours and hours, and guess what? They didn't really go around hours and hours and hours. They were right there in that spot. So somebody had made them, be lost. And it was a big field of area, like acres and acres of clean area in that jungle. And he was scared because he was just a teenage. But they were guided to that area, so I'm not sure what happened, that they got lost. They made them lost, but nobody got hurt. And my husband believed that the good spirit was watching them, because he brought them back to the same area.
All right, so Nick, fantastic stuff. Now, of course, you can catch all 4 episodes are up right now on the KUM Podcast Network. So, if you're on Apple Podcasts, if you're on Spotify, just go into your platform, type Taotaomona Tales. Nick's is like the 3rd one from the top, if not the 1st one, right?
You know what's so great about it too, Jace, is you can listen to this. You don't even have to watch. That's what's the great thing about the podcast network, right?
Yeah.
Is that you can listen to it as you're getting ready, as you're getting your meals ready, whatever you're doing, you can listen to these podcasts.
If you're in the shower, if you want to bring your phone into the shower,
get into the spirit, right,
Yeah.
of the Halloween season.
Yeah.
And so today's podcast, it's going to be one that you don't want to miss. Do you already know what it is?
I know what it is. I've seen the rough cut. Yeah.
It's the rough cut. It's the team KUAM, 5 members of our team coming together here on this stage and sharing our own experiences, our own encounters.
And it really looks like a campfire because I don't know, they just didn't turn on the lights, or everybody had their phones and everything. But it gives it this this mystique about it. It's very cool.
Had to get into the mood to have everyone share their stories, and so you'll hear from everyone: our Tomas Mangotnia, Darby, Daniel Perez, and Jono Gincharfris, the 5 of us. Am I missing someone? The 5 of us, all up there, sharing our stories growing up. And I'll give you a little sneak peek of my story. Is when I was a kid and I was watching TV late at night, and I heard tapping on the window.
Oh boy.
Until I turned down the volume is when it would stop. So I was like, okay, whatever.
So you were making noise.
I was watching TV at a high volume.
My grandma, God rest her soul, she always warned me about that, and she's like, don't make noise. There's certain days out of the, in the Catholic calendar and everything, you cannot make noise. But she even said,
especially Holy Week, right?
Yeah, but she's like, just do not make noise because you're gonna upset like one of the spirits. And okay, before we go, I want to ask you about spirits, right? Because you are a very, very good dad, and you spend a lot of time with your kids, right?
Thank you.
When, how do you actually talk to your boys about the taotaomona, and what have you told them about them, and how have you tried to instill in them what you said, like utmost respect?
So Kevin, Curtis, and Quinn, they're all in their teens, preteen age, so still pretty young.
They're teens already.
Yeah,
wow.
16, 14, and 11. I can't believe it.
I remember when they were running around here.
Right, and so whenever we talk about taotaomona or just anything supernatural like that, it's in the fun realm of things, the discussion, not so much. Make sure you respect them, make sure you ask permission. That's kind of things they learn along the way, being at family gatherings and around others in our family. But yeah, it's pretty much just spooky tell and storytelling.
Well, that is progressive parenting, because I know with my grandparents, they basically drilled it into myself and all of my cousins, and they were like, you do not disrespect those ones. As a
No
sneak
doubt.
peek, okay, Mel, how were you raised when it came to respecting a taotaomona? You have to be quiet, right? And you have to. Okay, so if you're wondering what we're doing off camera, we have Melanie Mendiola, the administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority.
Yeah.
She, among others, will be joining Nestor Lecanto. That's coming up next on the Hub. Also, Juan Carlos Benitez literally just walked in the room right now, the chairman, of course, of the Republican Party of Guam. We are going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I would think, Nick, preeminent among those is the cancellation of the Great Debate, which was pretty much a big shocker to all of us in journalism.
Was it? It was a
Yeah,
shocker.
well, maybe not.
Depending on how close you were watching the election season this year, it's anyone's guess about whether you went to a forum or a debate. The candidates kind of made it their own.
There you go. Okay. So Nestor is coming up. The Hub. We are talking politics for the next half hour. Stay tuned, will you? Because we have a fantastic panel, fantastic discussions, and we want to hear from you. So make sure to put your comments in YouTube and on Facebook. Nick and I will see you next time, but Nestor's coming up with his guest